Hello everyone, I'm here. Today we will be doing a full review of this guy right over here. This is the brand new Samsung Galaxy A07, the latest addition to the popular Samsung Galaxy A series lineup of smartphones. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it, starting with the unboxing experience. Opening up the box, the first thing you will notice is that the presentation is fairly neat and minimal. And on top we have the phone itself, nicely wrapped up, so it doesn't get damaged during transportation. Moving downwards, we have the charging adapter, which is a 15-watt standard charger. We also have the USB Type-C cable, which is about 1 meter in length. Then we have the SIM ejector tool, and lastly we have some booklets which contain all the relevant information and warranty details. Now the setup process is quite simple and straightforward, and as always, the first thing you want to do is charge it up before turning it on for the first time. Once you've done that, you will be greeted by the Android 12 setup process, which shouldn't take too long to complete. And once you've configured all your settings and stuff like that, we can start taking a closer look at the device itself. Starting off with the design and build quality. The Galaxy A07 carries a very slim and modern design. I think it looks pretty nice, considering its budget-oriented nature. The entire frame as well as the back panel is made from plastic, but it has a smooth matte finish which feels nice in hand, and it gives it a more premium look and feel. The back panel is glossy, and it does attract fingerprints and dust quite easily, so you might need to wipe it down every now and then to keep it looking clean. Overall though, the build quality is surprisingly sturdy for a phone in this price range, and the device has rounded edges and corners, so it's quite comfortable to hold. Speaking of which, the weight is about 195 grams, which makes it feel nice and light in hand. The rear camera module kind of blends into the body of the phone, which looks pretty neat, and it consists of 2 sensors, which we'll talk more about later in the video. All in all, the Galaxy A07 has a pleasing aesthetic that makes it stand out compared to other devices in its class. Moving on to the display. As you can see, it has a fairly big 6.6-inch screen, which is quite immersive for watching videos and playing games. It's not the highest quality panel around, since it is just an HD plus resolution, but the colors look bright and clear, and the sharpness is decent enough for everyday use, such as browsing the web, reading articles, scrolling through social media, and so on. Viewing angles aren't the best, and the brightness is just okay, meaning that you will struggle to see the display under direct sunlight. But other than that, I can't really complain much, since this is what you usually get with budget phones. The screen size is great, and overall, it's a solid display for the price. In terms of the performance, the Galaxy A07 is powered by the Unisoc T80 chipset, which is basically a rebranded MediaTek Helio G25 processor. This is an octa-core chip that's built on a power-efficient 6 nanometers process node, so it should be able to handle most of the day-to-day tasks with ease, without consuming too much battery. As you would expect from a budget phone, the app switching speeds are not the fastest, but they're still smooth enough, and even when it comes to gaming, it handles most titles with ease. Although you may need to lower the graphics settings to medium or even low to achieve a consistent frame rate. That being said, the gaming experience is actually quite surprising, considering the affordable price tag. As mentioned earlier, the internal storage starts from 32 gigabytes, which is quite limited, but if you opt for the higher-end models, you will get 64 gigabytes or even 128 gigabytes of space, which can be expanded via the dedicated microSD card slot. When it comes to RAM, there's a 4 gigabytes and a 6 gigabytes option available, and personally I think 4 gigabytes should be enough for most people. But if you want to squeeze out every last bit of performance, you could go for the 6 gigabytes model. All in all, the Galaxy A07 delivers reliable performance for the price, and I can definitely recommend it if you're on a tight budget. Now let's move on to the camera department. On the back we have a dual-lens camera setup, which consists of a 13-megapixel main sensor and a 2-megapixel depth sensor. The depth sensor is not the best quality around, and it's not going to blow you away with how good the images are, but it does add some extra depth to the photos taken with the main sensor. Speaking of which, the main 13-megapixel shooter takes decent pictures under good lighting conditions. As you can see, the colors are pretty accurate, the dynamic range is decent, and the level of detail is okay. The autofocus is pretty quick and responsive, and you can also use HDR mode, which adds a bit more contrast and saturation to the shot. The image processing is nothing special, but it's still decent for the price. At night, however, the lack of optical image stabilization is noticeable, and the camera will tend to capture soft and blurry shots, more often than not. It also lacks night mode and other AI features that you would normally associate with Samsung devices. Portrait shots look quite nice, with good edge detection and an attractive bokeh effect. However, again, the lack of a high-quality depth sensor means that the details won't be that sharp. Videos can only be recorded in 1080p at 30 frames per second, and the footage is quite shaky because of the lack of stabilization. So you might want to consider investing in a case with a built-in gimbal if you plan to film a lot of videos. The selfie camera is an 8-megapixel shooter, and it's pretty much what you would expect from a budget phone. Selfies come out alright, especially in good lighting, but the camera tends to smoothen out your skin a bit too much. But other than that, I don't have many complaints. Here are some more samples, so you can get a better idea of what to expect. Alright, now let's move on to the battery. The Galaxy A07 comes with a large 5000 mAh battery, which is a great start for a device with a low price tag. I was able to get over 6 hours of screen time consistently, which means that you will easily be able to get through a full day of usage on a single charge. There's also a 15-watt charger included in the box, which takes about 2 hours to fully charge the phone from 0 to 100. So it's not the fastest around, but it should be enough for most people. Finally, let's talk about the audio and connectivity. The Galaxy A07 has a 3.5mm headphone jack, which is great news for those who haven't switched to wireless audio yet. The speakers are loud enough for casual listening, and they sound pretty clear. You also get support for 4G LTE connectivity, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth. So connectivity isn't an issue. Some other features worth mentioning include the fact that the device comes with dual SIM support and expandable storage, as mentioned earlier. You also get Samsung's One UI software experience, which is clean, user-friendly, and packed with features. It's not the latest version of Android around, but it's still solid and reliable. And finally, you get a fingerprint scanner embedded in the power button, which works quite well, and it's very convenient. All in all, the Samsung Galaxy A07 is an impressive budget smartphone that delivers decent performance and a solid feature set without breaking the bank. If you're in the market for a low-cost Samsung device, then I highly recommend checking this one out. Let me know in the comments section what you guys think of this device, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask them down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.